All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey, good morning, Mortgage Coach. My name is Joe Puthur. I'm the president of Mortgage Coach. It's always a pleasure to get a chance to be here on the phone and have a chance to talk to all of you. Obviously, the market is an exciting place today, rates at record lows. A lot of us getting together at the Mastermind event in Vegas this week. I know I'm flying in just a few hours. I just want to ask anybody on this call already there, anybody going to Vegas, always just open to meeting members, having the chance to talk to you guys while we're there. Again, guys, anyone's going tomorrow, just vote. I assume from what it looks like, nobody who's dialed in right now is going. So guys, I will be sure to share if that's a great event, as I hope it is, and perhaps next year we'll see some of you at that event. So one there every week for these coaching calls, really the idea and the formula and the concept is for experts, for other members to share what's working, just to really have a chance to the community and learn from one another. And what I've always found inspirational and really incredible about being part of the Mortgage Coach and now having been here for 3 years is just how you guys are willing to interact with one another and inspire one another, and most of all, share what's working. Because when we are able to learn, we're able to focus on making a better experience for consumers, becoming top producers, dominating our local markets. We in turn are able to lead the industry. So I want to thank you for that leadership. I also want to welcome anybody who's on this call that has a unique story, that has a strategy that's working. You're generating more leads than you were last month. You're interacting with new referral partners in ways that you haven't before. Whatever that story is, feel free, shoot us a note, edge@mortgagecoach.com, if you'd be willing to share that story in this type of format. Again, we get together really to help each other be better with you. The bottom line for me, and I think for you, and why we know that what we extrapolate from this call makes a difference, is that to our consumers and our prospects and our referral partners, our advice is what counts. When we can make that advice make an impact, and we can make that advice make a difference, we get consistent business. So today, I'm pleased to welcome Ripma from local market, Indiana Union Savings Bank, onto the call today. Rick has really been an inspiration to some of us here as we've been able to hear his story about how he's able to really get consistent referral business by creating great experiences using some of our solutions. So Rick, welcome to the call. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for inviting me. I appreciate it.
So Rick, obviously, as I kind of stated, and you know the story of Mortgage Coach, you know why we get together. We're here to tell these guys a few things. Can you just kind of first start off telling them a little bit more about yourself and your market and what you do? Yeah,
I'll start a little bit before you and I would talk about when I got in the business just about 10 years ago. I was in new home sales. I ran a sales department for a builder here in town, and I'm in Indianapolis, Indiana, which is dead center in the state. It's the capital. Our market is, it's like any market. We have problems with appraisals. We have our average loan size is about $170,000. With my start, I had to generate all my own leads. A lot of people think because you're with a bank, the bank generates your leads for you. And our bank does generate leads. I don't take any of those leads because I've built my business up without those leads, and they don't pay as well if you use their leads, so I'd rather get my own. So I started, like I said, 10 years ago. First month in the business, I did $4.5 million, and now I'm running the last couple years. 2 years ago, I closed 582. Last year, I closed just over 500, like 514. This year, I'm on track probably for about 600, maybe a little more than that. The market's picked up. Just to give you an example, with the rate drop yesterday, I wrote 9 loans. Today, I'll write 7. Last month, I wrote 64. I closed right at 60. So that's kind of our market. Again, about $170,000 value. I don't work with real estate agents. I work specifically. I really generate my own leads. I do work a lot with financial planners and a little bit with CPAs. And on the Mortgage Coach, I think the biggest thing I find with most people, at least the people around here, there's 50 other LOs in the bank here, and I find that the vast majority of people who don't do the volume, a lot of it's about not putting enough effort forward or the right type of effort forward. So I just see a lot of people who they watch what I do, but nobody else that I know of in the bank is using all the tools that I use to help generate my leads, to help convert my leads into loans, and then to keep those customers coming back. And that's kind of the biggest thing I use Mortgage Coach for, is to bring those customers back in the door. I use it a lot to bring them in. I think it helps them understand the value and how much savings they can have. But what I do is once I have a customer, once they close, in my database I put a reminder in to call them or email them in a year and every year. And then I put together a Mortgage Coach analysis, or the edge analysis, and I do that on a yearly basis and show them whether the rates went up or down. Fortunately, they've gone down here recently, but whether they're up or down, I put in the Mortgage Coach information, send that to them so they can see what we can do and whether it's going to save them money or not. They see what the market is, how it would affect their loan, but also, and maybe just as important, if not more important, to bring referrals in the door. My business today is almost completely referral-based or repeat customer. I do very little. I've done a lot of advertising in the past, but I do very little now. It's mostly just on my website where I generate my leads that way. And I know just from getting customers, once I send them a mortgage analysis, I'm converting. It was about 4 to 5 customers a month I was adding to my production. And as the rates have gone down, that's gone up. And that right now, I can't tell you exactly, but it's probably 10 to 12 loans additional each month as the rates gone down, because obviously it makes more sense for more people. And that doesn't include the referrals I get from those same customers, whether they refinance again with me or not. I do get a lot of referrals from those customers. So probably adding in the neighborhood of 20 to 21 loans a month into my production because of Mortgage Coach and sitting down and doing it. Just having Mortgage Coach, it doesn't do you any good. You have to actually use it and send the information out. And then when you send it out, there's a really nice feature where it will tell you, if you click the right button, it'll tell you that somebody just looked at the analysis that you sent. And so when they do that, if they don't call me back, I give them a little time back or email me, and the vast majority of the people do. But if they don't, then I always follow up, see if they have any questions, because sometimes they're a little confused, which is a great opportunity to talk to them a little bit and show them what the savings are, and then convert them to a loan.
So Rick, thanks again for being willing to share this information. So you mentioned, to drive that referral, that consistent referral, that you use this edge presentation. Can you be a little specific in what exactly you show them and how you go about going to your old database and creating this scenario?
Yeah, my database, I put an automatic reminder in so it just pops up. Now, that's not the only thing I do. I send out at least 2 emails a month to the customer to my database, and so they get 30 emails a year from me, so just about 2.5 a month. But when it pops up that they're due, I pull their information, I run their current loan and show them where they are at today, because I find a lot of people don't even remember. They think they're at 5 and they're at 4.5, or they think they're at 4.5 and they're at 6. They don't really remember what they have. A lot of them, not everybody. And so I put that information in as obviously the first piece so they can see what they have today. Then I'll run it a variety of ways. Run it matching the term. If they did a 30-year term originally, I'll run a 30-year term. Then I'll run it and show them if they made the same, if they wanted to keep the same term. So let's say they've paid 2 years on it and they're down to 28 years. I show them what they would have to make, the payment they would have to make to pay it off under the new loan scenario in 28 years, to show them how much money they're actually saving monthly. And then the third piece is I'll run an analysis that will show making their current payment, the same payment they're making today with the lower rate, how much quicker they can pay the loan off. And that way they can see what they would need to do in order to pay the loan off quicker if they want to, how much they save. And usually, especially with rates today, they're saving quite a bit of chunk of change. But I find some people, they're willing to, they think it's worthwhile to refinance for, $5,000 or $6,000 over the next 15 years. Other people, it takes $30,000 or $40,000 for them to think it's worthwhile.
Sure.
Go ahead.
So you're able to convey that message by showing those three kind of scenario points. And you mentioned one I think is pretty unique, one that, that kind of I think echoes the idea of being a mortgage planner, and that is this matching the payment, right, the terms. So the idea that, hey, if you were to move forward, want it already paid down 2 years, do you find that to be a differentiating part of the conversation, something that consumers find unique about what you're saying?
Yeah, I find that the vast majority of people are only shown a 15, a 20, and a 30 year, and then a few times they might be shown a 25 or a 10 year. But very few people, in fact, I've really not run across anybody who's actually done it where they've shown the payoff, by just shortening the term to the same term or same payment, shorter term. And then I sell that as that's the only way you can really see if it makes any sense to refinance. How much are you saving monthly in this situation, and does that make sense then to refinance? So for me, I think it's critical. I just figured everybody did it that way. I didn't know any different.
Right, but based on the reaction, you see that that's not the case. Now, you also mentioned that you turn on the alerts, that you get alerts when you receive these reports. How do you use that? A lot of people that we talk to, a lot of members, they use the alerts differently in how they react. How do you react when you receive one or not?
Well, the first thing I do when I receive one is I mark it in my database so I know that they actually looked at it. And then I set a reminder to call them if I haven't heard from them. And usually it's anywhere from 12 to 24 hours, depending on when it is in the day and what my day looks like, so when I'm going to be able to get back with them. And that way, if they don't call me, it pops up, reminds me that they looked at it, and it's time for me to give them a call. So then I can call them and hopefully go over it, but if not, just leave a message and let them know that, I noticed that, I wanted to see if they had any questions. I send them the information. I get a really good reaction to that, and the vast majority of people, if I don't talk to them right away, will call me back. And many times that conversation may turn it might be a reasonably good thing to do, to seeing the real value of refinancing, and they turn into refinancing, or it may even be a purchase, but they go ahead and move forward based on our conversation after looking at the edge.
And then when the people that receive these reports give you a referral, would you say that there's expectations from the person who's coming in that are different than maybe what you find from your colleagues? Maybe a little more commitment rather than less commitment at that point of sale?
I think they're much more comfortable, and I think that as you send them, as people receive the EDGE presentation and they look and they see it and they go over it, even if they don't understand it. And I'm one who believes that you become the expert when you can explain things to people and they understand it, and then you get something where you can explain it, they don't understand it, they realize that you really know, because you're really good at explaining otherwise. So I like it. Sometimes they don't understand it at all, and as I go through and explain it, and I've explained everything else to them, and it makes it really understandable, they look at you as an expert. I've built my business, as one of the reasons I probably use the EDGE, is I built my business off of being the expert. When I started, that was my whole goal, or one of the goals that I had, is I had to become the expert. I had to be looked at as an expert, and I find that for me is a very good selling tool, and the EDGE presentation really helps me communicate that to people. And I'll tell you, the other thing is a lot of people think it's slow to put it together, right? I've heard that. For me, it's not. I do enough. I might have 600 and something active right now. I do enough of those that it probably from start to finish, well, it takes me about 7 minutes, start to finish, putting everything in there and having it ready. And then if I've done one before and somebody's called me and said, hey, can you redo, you put the new rates in, because they didn't move forward or whatever, and then it doesn't take any time at all. So that's putting all the information in, and I have a pre-done emails that I send, so putting it in the email, sending it out, from start to finish is about 7 minutes.
Yeah, and Rick, thanks for mentioning that, because I think that's just such an incredibly important point. I think some of the questions that were showing up in the Q&A section in the meeting here were, how do you do so many? And I think the reality is, as you said, you're proficient. You do it in just a few minutes, less than 10 minutes, and you're able to create one of these reports. So thanks for mentioning that. And really, to the rest of the folks here on this call, we want to get everyone to that level of proficiency, and that's why we designed the software the way we did, and we have copy functions and duplicate functions and things that some of you might not be using. So really, heeding what Rick is saying, you can do it that quickly if you just make sure that you know how to do it. And my team and I are here to make sure that can happen. So Rick, another key thing I think that you mentioned was just, you don't work with realtors. And for some guys, that echoes the pain and frustration of, oh, God, realtors can really be taxing as partners. So how do you find your financial planning relationships and really create that rapport? I know that's a leap that a lot of folks, a lot of people on this call and in our industry in general would like to make.
Well, I'll tell you how I did it originally, because I've got so many now. I don't really have to add any. They get added automatically because of my customers automatically, put me in contact with them. But originally, what I would do is I would ask my customers. I actually surveyed them after the application and wanted to know who their financial planner was. Were they happy on a 1 to 10? Were they happy with their financial planner? I did the same thing with their insurance agents. Did the same thing with their CPA. And I was looking for either opportunities to get them to a financial planner or a CPA or an insurance agent that I worked with that I knew would do a good job, or to, if they rated their CPA financial planner on a very high level, then it gave me the opportunity then to call that person, tell them they were highly recommended, and kind of explain what I had available, and also to see if they would be interested in me sending them business, so that I knew, I needed to know what kind of business they wanted. I find, financial planners especially are very, they do certain types of business. Some of them will work with pretty much anybody. Some will only work with people with $100,000 or more. Some are $1 million or more. So you have to figure out what type of financial planner it is, and then I would send the customer that fit into that financial planner. And that seemed to really help lock them in when I would send them customers too, because most people don't seem to do that. So they started sending me customers back, and that's how I built that piece of the business. Today, I really don't have to do that anymore. It's just, it automatically comes in without adding somebody else to help me. I'm at a volume that I'm not willing to work any harder than I am today. So I'm probably at my limit. 100 to 120 million, I think I could do yearly, and I would be fine.
Time-wise. I mean, that's great volume, many aspire to, and I think that's helpful really to remember, everyone, to extrapolate this data from your customer. Ask for the referral, ask for who they use, ask for that introduction, and really creating that bridge. One of the great things I think that you echo is how you can be that expert, and how showing the numbers, using the tools like Edge and like the systems that we provide to really drive that credibility. So just bringing up a few questions from the audience. One of the questions that came up was around the video and the audio narration, and given the level of effectiveness that you have, one of the questions is, do you use video or audio narration on all your reports, or are you getting that pull through just from the standard presentation?
I'm getting it from the standard presentation. I would actually do the video or the audio, but the bank's computers won't let us do any of that. It's one of the things that really limit me by, where I work. You can't do it. I've tried to get them to give me what I need, and it just hasn't worked. So someday I'll hopefully be able to do that. I think it would be better pull through. But if they open the Edge and you call them, you can get around the fact that you didn't talk through it, because it does confuse some people. But if you don't call them, you never know that. So you have to call them. So I think for me it works because I'll get back with them and they look at it. I will get back with them and see if I can answer questions. It would be quicker and simpler for me, I think, if I could use the video and the audio. And I think it's a much better presentation if you can do that. It's one of those things I've tried to get done. I just haven't been able to make it work yet.
Got it. Got it. Well, maybe next time we come out and visit you, we can convince the powers that be to give you a better computer. So, Rick, I want to thank you for spending some time. We're going to let the audience, put together some additional questions, maybe post them in the Q&A section, and if you stay with us a few minutes, we'll loop back. Again, everyone, to driving the type of success that Rick has driven and having that consistent production is really what being a mortgage coach is all about. And again, Rick, thank you for sharing some of your wisdom and some of your great habits with the audience here. So on that note, one of the key things to echo what Rick mentioned is that Edge can be really fast. And doing these reports in minutes is really key to us all being able to drive success with the system. Nobody wants to spend a lot of time in software. We want to spend time having great conversations. So one of the things that makes Edge a lot faster is when you set up the settings. So, I wanted to ask Jacob to jump on the line and spend just a few minutes showing the different settings that you can set up, be it, your templates or your logos or your fees or even some of the new features you might not even know about that really can make Edge move quicker as you assemble the report. So, Jacob, if you would just spend a few minutes, kind of take us through a few of those settings, and then we'll come back, Rick, and share any of the questions that came up from the audience.
All right, thanks, Joe. I should be showing the screen now. So what we're going to walk through today, guys, is all the settings in Edge. You may have kind of glossed over these when you first got Edge and maybe filled out only the contact information, but there's a few more panels here that you really should be aware of because they will help you improve your speed at using the software. Naturally, one thing I should draw your attention to, guys, if you ever change your email address here in Edge, this also updates your login. So if you choose to use
Jacob, I don't know if it's for everybody, but I know I don't see your screen right now. Just wanted to let you know that.
Okay.
So you might want to share it and
Okay, we got people in the chat saying they can see it.
All right. Well, if everyone can see it, then I'm the odd man out. So keep going.
All right. Thanks, guys. Caesar, Buddy, Christy, Shannon, John, Kathleen, and Rick. Thank you much. All right. So back to it, guys. Remember, if you do change your email address, it's going to change your login name for Edge, for RateWatch, and for the Mortgage Coach website. So just be cognizant of that, guys. I get that question constantly coming through the box here. You can also change your password in here once you log in by clicking Change Password. This will, of course, change it for all the apps at once. Remember, it's a single sign-on, guys, so it's going to work for all of your applications once you change it here. Now, images, these are pretty important. If you don't feel your image looks spot on your report, it's probably not sized absolutely right, feel free to send those over to us. We'd be happy to resize them for you and send them back to you so you can pop them in Edge, because it's very important that your personal images look good when they hit your report. Now you can see that mine look a little bit pixelated here, and the reason is these are blown up from what their actual size is on the report. So when I get to the report, I'll show you that these actually do look quite a bit better. As long as they're sized in the right dimensions, they're going to be absolutely perfect on your reports. Now, product templates. Product templates are really important. Product templates are the ones that you can build for individual loan scenarios. Now, within each product template, you can assign fee templates. So what I would usually start with is I'd start with your fee templates. When you come in here and create a new template here in the fee templates, you can then assign that to any of your product templates. So this is actually going to make it a little bit faster for you the next time. So you can see I've got NFHA 30 fixed with all my standard fees in here. I've got my conventional 30 fixed, so I can just pull these in when I'm doing one of those products. Now that said, in my product templates, for instance, if I go to my 30 fixed FHA, you can see I've already got closing costs in here. If I want to include a template, all I have to do is hit the closing cost details, give my FHA 30 fixed, apply to template, and now that's in there. So now when I go to select this new product, in any new product in Edge, I can select 30 fixed FHA2, and I know that it's going to bring in this closing cost detail as well. So make sure you guys start with your fee templates, put in a couple that you know you're going to need, and then start populating product templates, because these will let you do the outside part of the loan, things like the FHA, the upfront MIP. You can tailor almost every part of this. So once you couple these together, it's just a single drop-down selection, and you've got your loan in there. Now, report templates. We've recently updated these a little bit, guys. There didn't used to be a whole lot of room on this main disclaimer area, so what we did is we actually gave you an extended disclaimer that you can apply to each report. Now, it is different for each one you choose. So, for instance, if I go in and edit my extended disclaimer here, and you can see I've got the UAMC disclaimer on, if I edit it right here, it's only going to apply to the total cost analysis. If I choose the seller buy down, I'll need to go into that extended disclaimer and make sure it reflects what I want it to reflect. And you can see that I've got a different one here. Now, the good thing about this is that you won't have to do anything extra. Once you've got this in there, that extended disclaimer will come out as an extra page in print, and it'll come out as a pop-up button down in the disclaimer area of your live reports. So make sure to tailor this for each one of your report templates here. Now, if you guys need help on any of this, if you're finding that you just can't quite fit all the text you want to fit in the extended disclaimer, or maybe it's not coming out just the way you want it, send it over to support@mortgagecoach.com. We're always happy to give you tips and tricks on how to make this shine a little bit better so that you don't have to do as much work when it comes down to it. Now, Social Pro. If you guys do have Social Pro, this is your direct link to Facebook Land, and you can do things like you can tailor the name of your client feeds, partner feeds, and combine news feeds. And then you've got a bio area. Now, this comes out of Edge and lands on Facebook, so this is going to be on your fan page. It'll also show your photo and your basic contact information there as well. Now, click to call. Click to call is kind of important. This is a fairly new feature that we've put out recently. What this allows you to do is it allows you to put a button on any of your reports that triggers an automatic callback from your client when they click it. So let me show you what one of these looks like real quick. So I just switched over to a report, and actually what I did here is while Rick was talking, I created a report based on what he was talking about, with reinvesting to get the same term, and then a reinvest with the total savings to shorten the term even further. So you can see we've got this current mortgage here. Its freedom point is just short of 25 years. I did our new refi loan at a lower rate, and you can see that with $95 extra, I was able to bring it down to the exact same freedom point. Now, the reinvest, this is reinvesting everything. That entire $200 I'm saving them, I'm putting it straight back into the mortgage. And I'm going to pay that down now in 21 years instead of just short of 25. Now, of course, we've got short-term savings, which exemplify exactly how much interest and MI, if there was in this equation, they've saved after they've already overcome their closing costs. And then we've got our long-term metric. And, of course, you can choose any one of these, but I chose principal paid for this one because I wanted to illustrate the importance of this extra monetary value coming out of that term reduction payment. And you can see that they've got almost the 114 in principal paid on this reinvest. But either of these will work for my client. I want to show them both options, just like Rick was talking about. All right, so getting back to this click to call button, guys. The Call Me Now button appears at the top right of any of your reports that you choose to put it on. Now, you can make this selection when you get to the last screen in your presentation screen in Edge. It's just a checkbox to display it. Now, by default, you guys all have 3 call credits in there just for testing purposes, so you guys can check it out. And then after that, you would need to purchase additional calls if you wanted to continue to use the service. But I think you're going to find that the first one you get is going to floor you. So definitely give this a try. When your client clicks on this, it's going to open up a new box. It's going to ask them for their name, their number, if you don't have it on the report. You can see that this was a marketing report, so I don't have any any property information or borrower information. So this would just prompt my borrower, whoever clicks on this, to enter their name and their number, and they can choose to have it call me now, or they can choose to have it call me later, basically leaving a text message for me that will pop through my Edge software. So this is going to help you capture that lead that otherwise you may not have seen, because especially on a marketing report, if you're distributing this to 200 people, you're not going to know who it was that clicked on your report. So while you may be able to track clicks on that report, this is the one that's going to help you pull in that lead. Okay, so that's it for our settings area here. You can see that on my click to call, and actually I should bring this up real quick for you guys, you have a choice on whether to use your office number or cell number. Make sure and choose one where you have a number there. If I chose cell number right now, I don't have a cell number in there, so it would actually populate you're missing a cell when I try to go and prepare this report. So make sure you've got your number in there if you're going to choose that one. Now, one more thing I wanted to show you. We just updated our Mortgage Coach website. You guys may have seen this in trying to go in. Some of you may have some old links to the former candlestick charts where they were before, and you've noticed it's in a little bit different place now. So there's two things I want to show you on here. One is how to log into the site. If you want to log in so you can get to things like the library, the coaching calls, the webinars, all you do is go over Community and choose Sign In, and you're going to find that this will direct you to an area you recognize. So guys, this should look pretty familiar for you. Once you sign in, then you have access to the library, the coaching calls, and such. Now let me go back one screen because we actually added a brand new feature in here. Now if you hover your mouse over Solutions and choose Rate Watch, this is going to take you to a new page, and we're actually doing some testing on this right now, so I'd like you guys all to give it a shot when you get the chance. But this Download Now button, it won't download anything at the moment. This is actually our online Rate Watch version. So when you guys get a chance, please do test it and give me some feedback on it. Let us know how the operation on it works for you, and if there's anything that maybe we missed or maybe we overkilled. But when you hit Download Now, this will actually kick out the new online version of Rate Watch that is modeled on what the desktop version looks like. So in just a moment, this should be coming up for you. Okay, it should be coming into view right now, but you guys can see that this is a much bigger candlestick chart. You've got a lot more room to be able to play with because this is now fully online. You can even get this on your Droid if you've got a Droid. I'm sorry, but iPhones will not be able to do this just yet because iPhones cannot support Flash. But I will tell you, we've got things in the works for the future that are going to allow you to have access to that iPhone. For now, though, I want to make you aware of this new RateWatch.com. This is fully online. This is the day watch. Everything that you're used to seeing in the desktop version is now available in the online version. And one thing I should bring to your attention, guys, if for some reason you're finding that you're not receiving your text messages or your text alerts, you can actually come in here to the settings area, even in the online tool now, and you can modify your settings. So you can basically put in a new number, you can check or uncheck your text message alerts, you can tell it whether you want email or not. So this is where you're going to go to modify those settings. If you're finding you're getting them just a little too often, you don't want them quite as much, come on in here and check it out. You can uncheck the boxes on the static alerts. But that's what I've got for the new stuff, Joe. Was there anything else you wanted me to cover?
No, Jacob, I think great synopsis, and just everyone, gang, want to make sure that you knew some of the key takeaways and settings, and that we all go in there and enter those settings. And Jacob, great tip as well on the images. And again, anyone who needs help resizing, please shoot a note to support. We want your headshot and your logo to look as sharp as possible. So with that said, we really want to leverage the rest of the time that we have together for any questions for Rick, or of course any questions for Jacob on what was just covered. I know there's a couple of questions, Rick, that came up in the Q&A while Jacob was proceeding forward. One of them was just to talk a little bit about your staff and your support staff and how you've scaled to doing so many units. A lot of folks wonder how many people that takes.
Well, for myself, I have what most people would call assistants. I have 2 assistants. I don't like calling them an assistant, so I have a loan production manager and a loan origination manager. I feel my strength is in the sales, so I talk to the customer first. I do all the sales. I bring the loan in the door. Then I have one of my loan production or origination manager takes all of my applications and takes the loan through the application, getting all the documents. Then it goes to my loan origination manager, who takes care, or my loan production manager, who takes care of everything else from the time it hits till the time it closes. It's their responsibility. Then we have, as a bank, we just have a staff of the processing staff. So they take care of all the processing. We're in Indianapolis, we're the largest lender. When I started here, it was brand new. Nobody knew who we were. In 10 years, we became the largest lender last year. The last 3 years, we've closed $1 billion a year. So we're a fairly large operation in our local area. We're not obviously large compared to a lot of people, but so I've set it up with 2 assistants, but I spend all my time on the sales end of it. That's where the money's at, so that's what I do.
Great answer to the question. Appreciate that. Rick, another member named Rick asked the question about setting yourself apart from the competition, kind of specifically that shopping conversation. You know, when somebody is coming from the direction of seeing an advertisement or seeing something somewhere else and wants to start the dialogue around rate. How do you kind of turn the conversation around to your direction?
Well, first off, for us, well, for anybody, you can't talk about rate without getting a bunch of questions answered. You don't know what the rate's going to be until you know what your ads are going to be, what type of loan you're going to be doing, how much down payment they have, you know, what the dollar amount is. I mean, there's a huge amount of questions that you have to ask before you can ever get to that information. So when somebody calls me and they ask me, they say, oh, I just call and I want to see what your rate is, which is what 90% of the calls, that's the first question out of their mouth. I go to, that'd be great, I'd love the right information. However, and I can't give that to you without asking you a few questions. Do you have just a minute for me to answer so I can give you the right information? I have never had anybody tell me no. They all yes, and then I go into my questions. So I don't forget anything, even though I do it all the time. I write down, I ask all my questions, make sure I get all the information. In doing that, a lot of conversation, of course, with the customer. And one of the questions I ask, which I think a lot of people leave out, and I think it's critical, and that is, what are you wanting to accomplish with the refinance? What are you hoping to accomplish as you purchase? What's the most important thing to you in the financing of your purchase? Questions like that, they tell me then what they're after. I don't much worry about my competition. I'm going to sell what I have, and the vast majority of people, if they talk to me, I'm going to get the loan. I don't lose very many to somebody else. So I don't really so much worry about it. I know, you know, if they're shopping, they'll usually tell me who they're shopping with, but that's not really my worry. Mine is I need to know what they're doing. I need to show them how we can do it, and I need to convince them that I'm better than my competition, and I'm own clothes, and it's going to be simpler and easier, and I'm going to sell those things that I have to convince them that that's the case.
Great, Rick, and Rick, I hope that that helped answer your question. Of course, you want to continue the conversation. Our our access to members will forward any additional questions to Rick on your behalf. So Jacob, just switching over for a moment, there are a couple of questions directed at you. One of the questions is in RateWatch in the desktop client, how someone can change the list of lenders on the Lenders tab. So where it shows the barometer of how rates are changing from the different lenders, how that list can be customized. Would you mind showing that?
Not a problem at all. Okay, guys, so what you do is you click on the little cogwheel up at the top right of your RateWatch, and then when you come in, you select Lenders, and you're going to go to Select Lenders. And this is going to open up a new screen, and we've got a list of a bunch of lenders in here. Hopefully yours is in there. We should have most of them in there for you. But select a lender that you'd like to add, hit Add Lender, and populate your list accordingly. Then hit the OK button here. But here's the part everybody misses. Make sure and hit the Submit button. Once you hit the Submit button, that change is saved so that now when you go over to the Lenders tab, you can choose My Lenders instead of All Lenders, and you can see that between those 4 that I selected, 2 of those have had price decreases just today since the last update. So that's how to select your lenders. So go to the cogwheel, hit the Lenders part, hit Select Lenders to open up the new page, select the ones you want, choose Add Lender, hit OK here, hit Submit, and then you're good to go. Just go ahead and toggle it to My Lenders, and it'll show you just your lender area.
Great, excellent, Jacob. One other question that was kind of directed at your knowledge base was around the fees and specifically lender credits. And you know, I think Christy's question is fairly specific to some of the changes, some of the enhancements we made to the fee template recently. So would you mind just showing how to show a contribution in the new fees?
Certainly. Okay, so we actually just put this out not too long ago, guys. Anytime you're inside a new product, And let me get to a product real quick. When you go into your closing cost detail, you notice that it grays out a lot of these fields because these are actually applied through the fee template. So you can see that my contributions field, I can't add anything there. So what we want to do is we go back into the closing cost detail, and we have added a new line item for you. So when you hit add fee now, you can select one called contribution. This has specifically got logic tied to it that says this is going to be a lender, broker, or seller credit. And this is going to knock down the cash to close by whatever amount you put in here. So usually what I would tell you to do is if you're going to save it as a template, save it with a 0 contribution. That way you can just edit it on the fly when you pull it in, because obviously your contribution is going to be different for each scenario you use. However, if you check this out, you notice my borrower is due $38.75. That's what he's got to pay out of pocket at close. If I was to credit this, you can see that my borrower paid is now 0. Now it's my lender paid is $38.75. So that's a lender credit covering that. Now one thing to keep in mind is that we still left the APR box open for you. So if you know, usually I would tell you don't check the box because you don't want it to reduce your APR, but there are some programs where a credit is allowed to reduce the APR. If that's the case, you can check the box here, and this will reduce the APR by applying this contribution. And once you're done with the contribution, hit Apply to Loan, and you can see that we've got totally different numbers here. You can see our contribution at $38.75, and if we add these numbers together, we're going to come out as a wash. Now when I get to the output, and let's go back over here, recycle this page real quick. Okay, so now you can see that I've got a 0 cash out down at the bottom here. So let me go to my more info section. I'll show you a little bit more about that. Go to closing costs, and now if I break open my fee detail, you can see exactly what my fees are, and then you can see my lender contribution of $38.75 that's washing it out, and I've got a 0 cash due at close. So hopefully that answers your question, Christy.
Great. Thanks, Jacob. Really appreciate it. So, Rick, I'd just like to give a chance, as we wrap up today's session, and everyone who is on the call, certainly want to remind you that we do record the coaching calls. If you have access to these calls, certainly can listen to them in the future, share them with your colleagues, and again, be able to glean from some of this insight at a later time. So, Rick, as we wrap up this conversation, any last words sort of to provide that direction, a bit of that inspiration to achieve the type of success that you have?
Well, that's a tough one. I would just say the key to all of this is you actually have to do it. You can listen to it on the call, you can look at it, but if you don't actually do it, it's not going to help you any at all. So the key is put the effort forward. It's going to take you a little bit of time to learn everything, but after you learn it, you're going to see huge benefits, and the time commitment on it's going to go down drastically. For me, with the volume I do, I don't work over 40 hours a week, so I'm not killing myself in hours, but I am very organized, so I may take less time than some people, more time than others. But the key is you got to put the effort forward. You have to just decide you're going to do it, and make it work, and keep doing it because it does work. And if it isn't working for you, you need to change little things to make it work, because the Edge actually works very, very well and adds quite a few loans to my volume, and so I know it works as worth the time and effort.
So Rick, thanks again for joining us. Thanks everyone for being on today's call. I know that some folks you have additional QA questions. We always try to answer as many as we can in the allotted amount of time. Again, please feel free. If you have questions that weren't answered that were directed at Jacob, you can always send a quick note to support@mortgagecoach.com. We'll answer those questions as quickly as possible. Again, edge@mortgagecoach.com, the email address. If you have any stories, any inspiration of your own that you'd like to share, if you'd like to do one of these interviews and share with the community what you're doing that's successful. Also, if you have any questions for Rick that did not get answered in today's session, please feel free to email those as well, and I will get them over to Rick. So thanks, everyone, for participating. Thanks, Jacob, for walking us through those key features of Edge, and I look forward to having everyone join us on next week's coaching call. Till then, talk to you soon.
The